welcome to Level Up with LinkedIn. We've just started the recording. Welcome to everyone. Our agenda today is lots of great information, so it'll be a lot to get through, but I will try my best and we'll leave some time at the end for questions. We're going to start by talking about optimizing your profile. So your profile, your personal brand, and how your page will look to others when you first open up LinkedIn. And then we're going to talk about engaging with your network and actually using LinkedIn as a tool to create connections, maintain connections, and just use LinkedIn strategically to stay connected within your industry. So let's get started. So I wanted to start with your own personal profile and uh, and talk about the very top of your profile when you open up LinkedIn. The picture option is always a great way to let people know who you are, and also the banner. So the photo and banner are great for those first impressions. Really recommend having a professional looking photo. Doesn't have to be a headshot, but have a friend take your photo so that you've got a clear photo that you can share, making sure your eyes are about 2/3 of the way up the photo, and it's just including your head and shoulders and using a neutral background. As well, the banner, that long, skinny photo in the background, is a very easy step to customize that and personalize it so that it can, again, provide a nice first impression for when people open up your profile. Uh, I recommend choosing something that can be a bit of a blend of both personal and professional. I used our friend Chelsea here, who works at Royal Roads, as an example to show that she's really blended sort of her personal attachment with her team and also Royal Roads to kind of jazz up her profile when you first go onto her page. And she's coupled that with a really great personal photo as well. I also like this example where they've been able to kind of personalize with an invite to connect and also using a professional looking photo with a neutral background for Alicia. As well, this is more of an influencer type of professional photo and banner, but I wanted to show how you can really customize your background banner if you like, and you can also add your name with an option to how you pronounce your name. So people can click on that and actually hear how your name is pronounced, especially if you have a tricky name. So an easy way to do that background banner is even to just use Google and Google Professional LinkedIn Banner. It'll give you lots of examples that you could choose from, or you could use Canva to do the same thing. I think that's where I found my personal background. So moving along to the headline and about section of your LinkedIn, you really want to personalize this headline. So when I say headline, I mean this section right under your name. And so that headline actually follows you around when you're using LinkedIn, because every time you comment or post or engage with other users in LinkedIn, your headline is included with your photo and your name. So it's something you want to give some thought of. What are some important keywords that you want to capture in your headline? It does make you more searchable by the LinkedIn algorithms if that's something you're wanting to use for recruitment. Um, and think about maybe how you could incorporate your background banner with some of those keywords as well. So this person, this example here that I gave, they've used quite a few keyword uh, in their headline here, but you could also do something a little bit more of like a phrase. And I like this example with Noah because he says that people and culture is his jam, but DEI and compensation are my peanut butter. And so I thought that was kind of a nice little uh, way to personalize your headline and even show a little bit of humor. So you can also connect your headline and your about section. And I used one example here where this actually belongs with this person. And they've taken the time in their about section to explain kind of why they have so many different areas of expertise in their experience. And the about is kind of delving into your story a little bit more so that you can explain what's brought you into a certain industry, what you're passionate about, what you're skilled at, and tie it together with a little bit of a narrative. So in this case, Damelaire has talked a little bit about his interest growing up and how he started off in computer science, but then he found his passion lied more in human resources, and a blend of the two is now kind of how his career has unfolded. So it tells a little bit of a story without being too lengthy. So typically, I would recommend having 1 to 2 short paragraphs for your about section. And that gives people a little bit of a window into who you are, what motivates you, and gives you an opportunity to put that story into the world. So those are really important sections because they're right at the top of your profile. So it's worth your time to take a little bit of thought and brainstorming and to really apply that to the top of your LinkedIn. So next down your profile comes your work experience, your volunteer work, and your education, all important areas. So you do want to take some time as well just to make sure you are identifying your experience, where you've worked in the past, when you began, when you ended, and providing a little bit of information about what you did in your previous roles. Thinking always about transferable skills and strengths that you want to highlight about yourself, and possibly using some keywords from your industries or from other industries that you're interested in, so that you can highlight those transferable skills. Work experience and volunteer experience, you can treat them in the same way by really showcasing your skill set. And there's even the options of adding additional attachments to your work experience and your education. I did one example down here at the bottom where this particular student won an award while they were a student at Royal Rose, and they uploaded a shot of a photo of that award just to kind of add some interest to the profile. So that's an option as well. You could do that with, for example, if you work in marketing or communications and you want to show maybe a pamphlet or some sort of content that you've created and you want to attach it to that job, as long as it's not something that's confidential, that might be a way to showcase your work. As well, you may want to add a link to your website if you've got additional portfolios that you want to showcase. So those are options within LinkedIn. So next I want to move on to building your network. So once you're feeling, you know, pretty confident with your profile and are ready to share that with the world, knowing that profiles are constantly being updated. It's an iterative process. So, I never personally feel that my profile is done. I always think, okay, I'm confident with my profile right now. I'm ready to share it, but knowing that there's always things I could do to add to it in the future. So once you're feeling fairly confident, you want to start building your network. You'll want to look at, okay, how can you build those contacts, and follow those either influencers or groups or organizations that may be relevant to you. So you can start out by simply searching names of contacts that you know in the search bar. That's probably the simplest way. But you can also click on My Network, and that is always at the top, that top ribbon at the top of your screen. called My Network. Looks a little bit like this when you click on it. And because LinkedIn is an algorithm, its whole purpose is to try and connect you with people you may know from a group that you're part of, people you may know from an institution that you've worked at or where you go to school, or just other similarities with keywords from other profiles that are like yours. So I would say maybe once a week or once every couple weeks, I go through and I click on My Network and I just see, hey, are there any new connection suggestions that LinkedIn is giving me of people that I should be probably connected with? And it's always interesting to just go through and see those suggestions. Another way to acquire some new connections and another way to also be starting to research and look at perhaps alumni in your industry or alumni that studied a similar program to you is to actually go to the Royal Roads homepage, Royal Roads University, and underneath there, there's an alumni tab. And when you click on that tab, it will show you, it's usually around 26,000 alumni that are linked to Royal Roads that have that mentioned in their profiles. And then you can actually do some filtering to find out, hey, who are the alumni that are from my program? Where are they working? What are they skilled at? What are they doing? And it might be helpful at this time to just show you what that looks like. Can you see LinkedIn on my screen?
We do.
Perfect. Thank you. So to find Royal Roads University, you may be following it already. You always want to look for the school because there's a few different Royal Roads pages. And it looks like this. And there's this alumni tab. And it shows about 26,000 alumni. And it gives you a number of different categories of where they work, what they do, what they're skilled at, what they studied, how you're connected. So if, for example, if you're in environmental studies and you just want to look at who are some of the LinkedIn connections associated with Royal Roads in environmental studies, you could click on that and then now you'd be narrowed down to just under 2,000 alumni in that area. And then you could further scroll and see who are these connections, where do they work, what are they skilled at. You kind of have to press the arrow buttons to find all of that. Maybe you want to see exactly who is working in the government of British Columbia, who did a similar program to you. It will give you those connections or those profiles underneath. And maybe you want to know a little bit, you want to zero in on some specific alumni. You may want to just narrow it down where they live or where they work. So many different options, so many different options. And whenever you click on any alumni, it will automatically try and determine how many connections you have in common and who they are, and it gives you that right underneath. And so that's a good thing about the algorithm is it will put people to the top that it thinks you have the most in common with. And then you can decide, oh, perhaps that is someone that you want to connect with. So I hope that helps sort of get a little bit familiar with the alumni tool. I know I'm going quickly because we've got limited time today, but happy to answer any questions when we get to the end as well. But these are probably uh, my two favorite ways to get some ideas of who else I want to connect with. Um, when you find someone that you think, oh, I would really love to connect with this person, um, I think they'd be a great addition to my network. You usually want to click connect, but you also want to add a note. You want to add a note to your new connection because if you just send a generic LinkedIn request, there's a high chance that that person may decide that they don't want to connect because they don't quite know or remember who you are. So if you send with a note, you can actually personalize your request, and you'll want to look for things that you have in common with that person. So if you've gone through the alumni tool, automatically you have at least one thing in common, which is you've been connected with Royal Roads. Perhaps you have a program connection with them, or maybe the place that they're working, their company, is an area of interest for you. So that's something you could put in your connection request. You only have 300 characters, so you do have to be succinct with that request. And with the free version of LinkedIn, which is what I've always used, you are granted 5 connection requests with notes per month. So you do have to be a little bit, um, uh, prioritize your connection requests. But 5 quality connection requests a month is actually pretty good if you're thinking about, okay, I really want to strategically connect rather than just connect with as many people as possible. So the add a note function, really helpful to just let people know why you're connecting with them. I also added a note here that LinkedIn does not replace in-person networking. And I wanted to mention that because it doesn't mean connecting on LinkedIn is now the only way that folks are connecting. Often it's a way to solidify and maintain your current connections. And it's a great tool to do that. For example, if you're to meet someone at an event and think, oh, I really enjoy talking with that person, I want to stay connected with them. So you want to follow up and send them that note and indicate where you met, maybe something that you talked about, and that you'd like to stay connected. And there's a much higher chance that that person is going to then remember and want to stay connected with you as well and accept that request. And and it's a great way to kind of keep that connection going if it's not someone you're normally going to cross paths with that often. So here's a few ideas on staying engaged with those connections that you have. And that's one of the best ways to grow your professional brand is to have that uh, uh, brand online of how you're connecting with people. So you can use, of course, chat feature to stay connected with people. If you have a question, if you want to share a resource, a research article or a bit of news that's relevant to you, maybe a previous conversation you've had. That's a great way to kind of maintain that contact with your connections. You can also engage with content with your connections. So when you've got a lot of relevant industry connections that you've now made and connected strategically with, now you're going to start to see what they've been posting, and your news feed is going to become richer. And then they're going to start seeing any content that you've decided you'd like to share. And so you may choose, once you're feeling comfortable with your profile and your connections, your audience, your brand, you may want to start posting. You can begin a post, you can add media, you can write articles, you can share research and projects that you've been doing as part of your program at Royal Roads. And all of those pieces can help grow those interactions and those engagements with your network. You may want to post that you attended an event and say a takeaway that you learned from a particular event. And maybe some of those attendees are going to say, oh, I was also at that event. I would love to connect. Another way to engage is to, you know, not just follow companies and groups and influencers, but also engage with their content, ask questions, make comments, or repost the content. And that is helpful so that your activity is, again, it's all with algorithms in LinkedIn. Your activity is then going to show up on other people's news feed as well. And you're going to be creating that presence online. Um, so that's a great way to kind of show that you've been engaged with your industry and that you've got, some pieces of information and expertise to share. And quite often when you're applying for a new position, an employer's going to go and put your name to Google and see what comes up. And usually it's your LinkedIn in a professional context. Of course, you want to be careful of your privacy settings and what information you share with whom. But often it's a great way to kind of get to know candidates, and employers definitely will take note. It's not the only reason that they might hire or not hire someone, but it helps create those first impressions and see, oh, they've got some really good contributions to this industry. They seem to be well connected within the groups and the companies and what's trending in a particular field. So I like to highlight that the more companies you're following, groups you're a part of, and connections you have, the richer your newsfeed becomes. And so I just got a couple examples that I pulled from my newsfeed a little while ago. When you follow, say, for example, say if you're interested in a particular organization and working for them in the future, you can keep tabs on, oh, what sort of jobs are they posting right now? And it can prompt you to go check their website for opportunities. Again, you might have a personal connection deciding to put it out into the news feed that they are hiring for a specific field and position and inviting them to connect with you. So I love to see that, because then if you've already got someone as a connection that you've interacted with and they know you and you've got a presence online, then it's a smooth connection to then reach out and say, hey, this is a field that I'm really interested in, that I've been starting to get experience in. I'd love to hear more about this opportunity, and maybe you can connect with that person over a coffee. There's just another example of someone talking about hiring. Another way to enrich your news feed is just to follow people that might be talking about other opportunities, like being a speaker or providing funding for different opportunities. Those are things that I often see in the news feed as well. So you'll want to keep tabs on that sort of thing. Um, and have those connections, those names that you can reach out to find out more information. And I wanted to mention as well, when you join a professional group on LinkedIn, you are actually able to direct message any other group member in that group. And so I have found that really helpful, especially if you see a group posting some information that you want to know more about, and then you see the person that posted it, they're not necessarily your connection right now, but because you're part of the same group, you could actually reach out to that person via chat at any time. So that's another tip that I like to share as well. Okay, that was a lot of information in a short time. I realize that it's gone really quickly. It's now 12:25, so we have about 5 more minutes left. I wanted to highlight that we do have a few more career events coming up for students. We've got our QR code here for our career portal called Career Roads. So if you're not on there yet, or you'd like to find out more information about these upcoming events, you might want to just use your phone to grab the QR code. Again, we will be sharing all these slides out to you if you want to click on the individual events. As well, here's just a quick list of our contact information. Myself, Heather. We of course have a LinkedIn specific group that you might want to follow as well. If you want to make appointments with us, we are on LibCal to book one-on-one meetings, and we do have all our recordings of these types of sessions online, on YouTube, and that is it. That's all. We're going to wrap up. We've got a few questions or a few minutes for questions, and I want to thank you all for joining us today. And I have not been monitoring the chat because I've been talking away, but I see that there's been a few things coming. Welcome messages in the chat. If anyone has questions, I invite you now. If you want to use the mic or put in the chat, please let me know.
Just a question came in, Heather,
Okay.
from Vitor. What's the best way to find LinkedIn groups?
Good question. Okay, I can show you. I'm going to bring up LinkedIn again here. And I'm just going to choose a person who I noticed this is from my alumni search from a few minutes ago. And I'm just going to click on them and see if I can locate their companies. No, they don't have any groups. That's one way is you can see what groups other people are a part of. And I get so many ideas often. If they're frequent users of LinkedIn, they may have great ideas for groups. Otherwise, you can do the My Network option and you can usually scroll down and they usually will give you ideas about groups. People you may know from the human resources groups. Um, more suggestions for you. So I'm going to choose a person who probably, I'm going to guess, has lots of groups. So you can click on groups here and show all. And you can see, are these any groups that I would be interested in joining? So there's a School of Communication and Culture group. I actually didn't know that. So I'm going to press join because I think that would be relevant to me. Or you can go back to these are the groups that I'm part of. And when you click on groups, it will give you groups you might be interested in as well. Lots of suggestions. And if you press show all, it'll give you the recommendations for you. You could do show more if you want. But often I find it a little bit overwhelming. So that's why I like to look at other profiles that are similar to mine and get ideas of groups that other people are following. And even within my groups, I'll see who's in my groups. This is one I've followed for a long time, CPHR. And I can see that it's got 10,000 members and you can press show all. It'll give you all kinds of ideas of different profiles you might want to connect with and see here how I could message anyone in this group if I wanted to, because we're part of the same group. So it gives you that message function. But yeah, you might want to start with the My Network and go to groups as a first step and just see what LinkedIn recommends for you. Or you may want to click on some of the profiles that you think, "Oh, I bet they would have some groups that I would be interested, or they have similar interests and industries to your own." I hope that helps. Anyone else have any questions? We're right at 12:30, so I will say if anyone has to take off, if you only have the half an hour, please feel free. I thank you again for coming. But if you'd like to stick around and do a little bit of Q&A, you are welcome to do that as well.
Stefan just jumped in as well to give an advice. Thank you, Stefan, to add to it that you can also search the feature to find the group topic by the filter and filter by the group. Thank you for that. We love to have
Excellent.
all
Thank
those
you,
tips
Steve.
coming through. I don't see any questions, but we could invite to take the mic if anybody wants to take the mic and jump in. I think the most important things that you probably heard today is your headline and your summary. So if those steps have not been, I would say those are the first two great ones that you need to start focusing on. What is your headline saying? How are you getting the ideas of that headline? How could you promote that as well to reflect what out there is looking for? A tip that has been as well suggested in others is looking at job postings, maybe that you have seen really interest you, and how you can feed those to Gen I and ask them to identify 10 keywords that could be used for a LinkedIn headline. But you have to give them a lot of information about those job postings. So this high processing software can give you some ideas. And then you can from there realize what it would be the best thing to highlight as it relates to your actual expertise. That's another great way to generate that content.
Yeah, thank you, Alejandra. Yeah, ChatGPT can be a helpful tool just to identify, yeah, some of those industry-specific keywords that will help you be more searchable by the LinkedIn algorithm. And I see a question here. What do you think about connecting with headhunters? So I think, if you are job searching, they probably will connect with you. Um, and I think it depends, like so many things, it depends what industry you're in. I would be aware and careful about sometimes there's scams on LinkedIn when you use the LinkedIn job search. I didn't delve into that today because that's kind of a whole other job search safety presentation that we do, but just be aware. I think if you are open to recruiters, there is that open to work banner that you can add to your photo, and that will attract recruiters to connect with you. Sometimes that's helpful, especially if you're looking sort of in a wide geographical area, like if you're open to working in different areas of Canada, that does kind of put that out there a little bit more. However, I think if you're looking in a small geographical area, you're probably best to really focus on managing your own reach out and building those networking connections using LinkedIn sort of as a tool to solidify those connections. But again, it doesn't replace actual in-person networking, but it's a way to reinforce it. I hope that is helpful. There's probably many different opinions on LinkedIn, so I'm sharing mine today from my experience. And I see more is coming up in the chat now, so just take a moment to read it. Recommendations on the amount of detail to include in previous work, balance between privacy and providing enough context about your experience. Is it useful to treat it as a resume or focus on the headline for each role? I always err towards being concise on LinkedIn. I think people, if they click on your LinkedIn profile, those first impressions are going to be really important. Seeing your headline and your about section are going to create that lasting impression. And then if that captures their interest, they're then going to start scrolling down to see your career path. And that's where you're going to want to be clear about where you've worked, the time frame, and provide some information about the role. If it's starting to be, every single thing that you've done, responsible for, and then, a 20 bullet list, that's going to be way too much. You really want to focus on important information that you want your audience to know about you. I think I mentioned earlier, those keywords and transferable skills, maybe one specific example that you want to share that highlights what you did with a particular organization. But being concise is going to be important because people tend to, the TLDR, too long didn't read, I think is strong with the online content. So it's not going to probably be full detail like you might see on a resume. I hope that helps. I see another question has come in. I often find people commenting randomly or not authentic on different posts. What's the best way to engage with the post? Any tips? Yeah, so I definitely agree that random comments are not helpful. You want to put some thought and intention behind your comments. are your comments respectful? Are they helpful? Are you sharing some expertise in this area? If the answer is no, then probably just want to keep on scrolling. So look to add value and write comments with the knowledge that you have an audience. Anything you put online, you have an audience. Who is your audience? Who is your reader? What do you want them to know about you? So you want to highlight what you have to offer, what your values are, and what value you can bring to others. And so think about it, as a reflection of you and how you can be helpful and add value for others, rather than just, oh, that was a great article. Like, then you can just use the like button. That's what that's there for. Yeah, so don't comment just for the sake of commenting. Comment to add value.
One last thing, if I may add, Heather,
Mhm.
so important. We understand this is a professional setting. It's in a professional realm. Please understand that what you are posting, yes, is public and represents you professionally. So I just would like to share that. There was an incident when a student posted something very specifically about they are right now looking for jobs and they're looking to work with a certain sector, but as well they engage in communicating a certain views and personal positioning on themselves. Please note that because this is a public forum and you are sharing this could be viewable, but could be seen as well by those prospective employers. So make sure to keep that in mind, how you're engaging in this platform, okay? You need to be authentic. You certainly need to write what is coming and what you believe it stays there, but make sure that aligns with as well the people that you're going to be knocking on the door for information meetings, for future job opportunities. This is not blocked because it's public and it's in a business criteria. So anything with that would be visible by people who are looking to get a better idea who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Alejandra. I don't see any new questions popping up in the chat. I'll stick around for a few minutes just in case anything comes up, but